Race 1 of the 2022 Motor Argentinian round goes lights out. Watch for the jump from Bautista. It's a good one from Jonathan Rea. Bautista looks to the inside line. He's not quite close enough, so the status quo maintained. In fact, Bautista's lost a position. Iker comes soaring around the outside of him and now muscles him out of the way as they make their way through turns 2 and 3. It's Rea versus Razgatlioglu side by side. Bit of a moment there from Razgatlioglu, who's clearly pushing hard. Good news for the two race leaders that Bautista has got to clear Iker before he can even think about striking ahead of turn 8. He's got through on Leccuona now. Razgatlioglu defends to the inside through 6 and 7. Rea might hope to have the better line coming off here. Now we watch for the speed of the Ducati on the back straight for the first time to see what Bautista can do. Rea's got the slipstream advantage against Razgatlioglu. Here comes Bautista, the top 3 in the championship side by side going in towards turn 8, and Bautista goes from 3rd to 1st, and that's exactly what everyone was worried about from a neutral's perspective. Bautista, oh, down goes Razgatlioglu. Razgatlioglu, desperate to respond into turn 9, has thrown it into the gravel trap.
Yeah, so easy to make a mistake through turns 8 and turn 9, just as those corners lead into one another. It cost Bautista a lot of time. He's had to take avoiding action, drops down to 4th position.
Bautista impeded, obviously, as Razgatlioglu went down on the inside of him. He was lucky, really, that Bautista wasn't collected. Bassani's gone up into 2nd position, and Iker into 3rd, so Bautista's got a couple of riders to pass before he can even think about going with Jonathan Rea, but that works out swimmingly for Bautista in the context of the championship. We'd said that Razgatlioglu was his main rival. Toprak obviously knew he needed to be in front of Bautista, going through the tricky infield section to try and extend his advantage, because Bautista came soaring through as soon as they got onto that back straight. We're going to see Toprak Razgatlioglu's aborted attempt at an overtake there on Bautista, and something you don't tend to see from Toprak, a major error there.
Yeah, a very un-Toprak-like mistake there. It's just on the wrong line, and just a big mistake there for Toprak.
Razgatlioglu has remounted. We think back to his last real error in Manicure and how costly that was in the context of the championship. I said it before we got underway with this race. There is no room for error for Toprak. Back to the race leaders, Rea, Bassani, Leccuona, Bautista. We've seen Rea and Bassani go head-to-head before, and Bassani has an opportunity to do Ducati a real favour here as he comes through to race lead. Bautista can't get through on Leccuona on lap number 2, so it's Bassani who hits the front. A missed opportunity perhaps for Toprak. Is that just a question of desperation? Having seen Bautista go from 3rd to 1st down the back straight, knowing that you need to lead him, knowing that you need to build an advantage, Toprak has tried to answer straight back, and that's where it's gone wrong. The Moto Corsa Ducati, remember, Moto Corsa leading a race in the Superbike World Championship. Bassani is going to be enjoying himself here ahead of Jonathan Rea. Bautista biding his time, but look at that gap coming down as the top 3 bunch closer and closer together. Just a couple of tenths of a second between the 3 of them now.
Yeah, it had been 4 tenths leading on to the straight, and then for Bautista pretty much right there, and he's in a position to make a very easy move on the shoot down towards turn 10.
That's an unconventional place to pass, and particularly for the Ducati of Alvaro Bautista. Jonathan Rea almost goes up the back of him on the exit of turn 10. He's going to be keen to answer straight back. He's going to go in wider here at the start of this tight, twisty infield section. Set up a move perhaps for turn 15. See if he can catch Bautista by surprise. We saw what happened last time someone tried to catch Bautista by surprise. It didn't end too well, and it's now Ducati 1 and 2. Bassani leads from Bautista 2nd, Rea in 3rd. There is a change for the race lead. Bautista comes through on Bassani. I thought he might. He'd got the gap down to just a tenth of a second. Now Rea is going to have a go at Bassani for P2. He needs to clear him quickly if he's to have any hope of taking a race victory here.
Yeah, Rea not close enough to make the move into turn 10. What's interesting is behind this as well, Rinaldi closing up on Leccuona. So for the Ducatis, they are coming to the fore. The Aruba bikes in particular with the X tyre just making their progress.
Bautista then leads from Axel Bassani. Jonathan Rea, very aggressive there on Bassani, stands him up, and he knows he's got to stay right on the exhaust pipe of Alvaro Bautista if he's to have any hope, but Bautista has already broken away.
I always love it whenever you've got Rea Razgatlioglu battling with some of the other riders trying to get to the front of the field, and there's almost that welcome to the front moment for Axel Bassani there, same as it was for Rinaldi earlier in the year in Aragon and a few other riders this season. and it's a really good move by Rea to do that. And it's good because it didn't cost him any time in that sector. He was able to hold pretty much his own line and make the move. Good stuff there from Jonathan Rea.
I don't think Bassani has forgotten Catalonia 2021, of course, his best race finish, which was second position, and Axel Bassani third at the moment, having really been mugged quite aggressively by Jonathan Rea. That is Tati Mercado, the home man, and he's separated from his machine. Medical personnel on the scene. Mercado still down on lap 9 of 21.
Yeah, that looks like it's a turn 14 there, so that could be a pretty nasty crash for Taddy, and with the bike being so far away from him, it could well have been a big high side on the outside. It looked like he really did knock the stuffing out of him.
Here goes Bassani on Jonathan Rea to recover second position. The Ducati's advantage down that back straight, working wonders for the number 47. Rea stood Bassani up a lap ago to come through. This time around it's Bassani who's managed to get back track position, but I think Rea's got a better run there coming off turn 9. Bassani compromised his exit somewhat. Rea not quite alongside there. Quick word on battles further down the order. Michael Ruben Rinaldi is gaining ground on Iker Lecuona for 4th position. It's a little bit here and there. It's a 10th here, a 10th there. And for the moment, it's Rinaldi who's stalking Lecuona, but without making any major gains. Alex Lowe's, having got through on Scott Redding for 6th position, is now fending him off. Xavi Vierke is right with the pair of them. And then 2 seconds further back, it's Andrea Locatelli. That's Jonathan Rea back in front of Axel Bassani. So Rea again passing Bassani. Bassani trying to respond. He's hung up to dry on the outside line in towards turn 15, but Rea leaves the door open coming towards 16. This is great racing from the two of them. Bassani and Rea have been the men to watch throughout race 1 thus far.
Yeah, I'm not sure Rea's going to feel the same way, but he's made a mistake there in the last corner trying to hold on to that position, and that's the challenge he faces, and it is a case of having to just push as hard as you can.
This is Garrett Gerloff down in 16th position. You could hardly believe that it's the same man who was a podium finisher. He's about to try and make a pass on Philip Ertl, almost clips the back of him as they make their way through turn 10. But as I say, the Texan, a completely different man today.
For Bassani, he's putting his bike where it needs to be, but let's see what happens on the run through turn 10 to the end of the lap, because that's where we saw Rea make a couple of moves already in this race. But Axel really is riding well on that number 47. The Ducati working really well around here as well, and he's been able to take full advantage of it. Worth mentioning as well that for Jonathan Rea, this is the section where he's tried lots of different lines on Axel Bassani to try and put himself into a position to attack. The reason for that as well is Bassani doesn't know where to defend exactly then as well, because Rea can go anywhere.
Here comes Jonathan Rea on Axel Bassani, lap 18 of 21. Bassani will answer straight back. Rea is going to be moved out of the way. Rea, though, will have the cutback, and it's a race through this final sector and on to lap 19. Brilliant stuff between the two of them. Bassani looks over his shoulder, obviously unsatisfied with the way Rea's been making his passes so aggressively. It's going to be aggressive once again here into turn 1. Now it's up to Bassani to stay on the tail of Rea through the opening sector to sector 2 and down the back straight, try to get on terms, but Rea has been fast enough down the back straight to at least stay with Bassani in recent laps, and that has paid dividends.
Critical now for Rea to open up a gap in the next 3 corners, because he's been able to stay with Bassani, but that's with a slipstream. Bassani's going to have that V4 orb underneath him on the run down the back straight. Is that going to be the telling difference? Toprak's been able to clear Philip Ertl, and that's going to put him up into 16th spot. He's got about a second to make up on Loris Baz. Baz out there on the softest tyre, and he's going to be a sitting duck for Toprak. Toprak's going to pick up a point, but his title rival is going to pick up 25.
Yes, it does look like it's going to be just a single point for Toprak Razgatlioglu. We come into the closing stages. Toprak's got that gap now down to just 0.8 of a second to try and pick up a consolation point. Alvaro Bautista, remember, leads the championship standings, and he is going to extend his lead up to 81 as things stand. It could be down to 80 if Toprak can find his way through on Loris Baz. Very limited consolation, you would have to suggest. Jonathan Rea back up into second place would mean that his gap to Toprak would only be 6 points, and you can see why these two were so evenly matched over the course of last season, because there's still little to separate them. Into the final lap then for Toprak and Baz. Toprak could get the move done here in towards turn number 1. No, he's not quite close enough. Baz will live to fight another day for the moment at least. at the head of the field. Bautista leading, his gap down to less than 6 seconds now. Jonathan Rea's just set a new personal best. That really does kill off Axel Bassani's hopes of second position. He's over a second in arrears, and Razgatlioglu there just got alongside Loris Bez, and I suspect that he'll have made that pass now for 15th position and a single championship points.
Yeah, Rea with a 37.5 on the penultimate lap, and that shows you just how much time you can lose when you're battling with a rider trying to find the right place to make a move. Rea's been able to open up a second on Bassani with his personal best of the race, but it's too little too late.
It's too little too late, because Alvaro Bautista is racing through the final sector. Having seen his title rival crash out of contention in the early stages, he's dominated proceedings from there. It's going to be back-to-back victories for Alvaro Bautista, just as he won his opening ride here in San Juan in 2019. He wins his opening ride back in San Juan in 2022 with Ducati. He takes race 1 by a 5-second margin in the end, despite rolling off on the final lap. Jonathan Rea comes home for 20 hard-fought World Championship points.